Congratulations guys, you've hopefully received your new Mark 1 drift tricycle in the mail by now. You've got it in front of you in the box, and today we're going to teach you how to put it together. Now, it is a pretty, about a 45-minute long process if you want to do it right, and of course we want to do it right so that you get maximum longevity with your tricycle. Everything stays the way it should be, and of course it drifts well and reliable. Alrighty guys, so what I want to show you first is what you might receive in the mail. So you're going to get something like this box just here. You might get two separate boxes because we were going to send them in single boxes, but you're going to probably get two separate boxes now, about the same size but split down the middle. 1 and 2, you can open them up, spread the components along the floor, and then I'll get that done right now and I'll see you when we're ready. Alrighty guys, so just before we do get into the assembly video, I just wanted to give you a quick overview of exactly what you're actually putting together. So essentially you have two rear-wheel drive electric 750 watt internal hub motors. Now the great thing about these motors is they have a great high reliability and a high efficiency, low energy usage, etc., but of course they have a lot of power. So that's why we chose to go with that type of propulsion motor. It also has two motor controllers, individual. They run each side, obviously, but to one throttle input. So you can think of it as like an LSD sort of, you know, both are driving at the same time, but they're not locked. It's not a locked diff. You have front disc brake caliper with a small disc brake, a big fat front wheel for maximum traction. Obviously your brake is on your left side, throttle on the right. A key with a power indicator, etc. You have pretty good ground clearance when compared to other drift trikes. So that means that if you do have any mishaps, you don't necessarily bottom out and stuff all your underneath of your unit. You can actually roll over things, etc. Guys, you have a 12.5 amp hour lithium LiPo battery on the back. We've just tested it today. What did we get? We got about 35-45 minutes. I didn't get all the way to the end, but I could tell based on the voltage that we were coming to the end of it, about 35-45 minutes. And I'm 100 kilos, so. Alrighty guys, let's jump into the assembly video. Alrighty guys, so as you can see on the top, you're gonna have your seat with your seat belts. You can unwrap that, throw that to the side. Nothing's delicate guys, so don't worry too much. Now this is the main core of the unit. Lift that out. Stick it to the side, just over here. Now you have your front tyre. You can pull those little caps off. These bolts might be in your battery box, so if you can't see them, they're in your battery box. Your two complementary drift sleeves. Your front fork setup. We'll stick that out of the way. Just it. Now, the chassis and the steering, 1 and 2. Your main power cable and your charger. Alrighty guys, so we're going to start by putting the main unit and the chassis and the steering and that front fork all together. It's pretty simple, it's going to take about 20 minutes. All the electronics are done, so don't worry about that. And then of course the final step will be put this wheel on the front and these two sleeves. So let's rip into it. Alrighty guys, take this main chassis part, the longest pole inside of your box, and we're going to attach this right now. Now, there are two electrical plugs that have to be plugged in first. So they run under here and tuck up past these little controllers, like so. Pull it right up and plug them into their corresponding plug. You got a 2-pin plug there and a 3-pin plug there. Now don't force these plugs. If they don't go directly straight in, have a look inside of the this is technically the male part, and just the little pins, make sure they're nice and straight, and then they will go in nice and easy, guys. Just clip in and you should hear an audible click, and you can grab this wiring and just tuck it right way out of the way. Leave a bit of slack here because we've still got a bit more work to do at the top. Now you'll notice there's some 14 mils in underneath here. We're going to remove them. So this is where you're going to need like a regular socket set. Basically we're going to undo these bolts, put that chassis on and put the bolts back through. So I'll rip into that now. Alrighty guys, so it's now time to bring this main chassis part up into the air, and of course it goes that direction, facing away from the ground. You can just place these bolts straight through and just stick the second one in, placing your nuts on each end, and then just tighten it nice and tight, guys. Alright, so you can now flip it back over, bring it down into place. Bring this wire forward a little bit, tucking it in there nicely. Now, you're going to need a few little zip ties, and you're going to put one here like this, and you put one up here like this. That way it's all nice and flush. It's not technically necessary, but just to make it look a little bit neater, you can do that just like that. Right, it's now time to put the seat on, guys. So you want to squish all this wiring down, just out of the way. Grab your seat. So you have two seat belts, and they actually attach onto just there like that. Right, guys, you want to set your seatbelt up like this, so it's facing forward, just like that. You want to have your 2 bolts ready to go, and you want to pull your 4 nuts off these 4 bolts, so that we can just place it directly down and put our nuts on. Put the cables, the seat belts on each side, and just lower the seat into the 4 holes. Might not go straight in, or you might get it first go, just like that. And then at this point, we want to start to put our seat belts, the nut, onto these little mounts just here. You literally just put the bolt on each side and tighten it up. Like so. So at that point, the seat belt's secure. It's just time to secure the seat itself. So let's see if we can just rotate it back. Hopefully it'll just sit there, and we can just begin to put our little nuts on. You can just go ahead and grab your Allen key set. Grab your 13 mil. With your Allen key on each one, tightening them up. One over here, 2, one over here, 3, and the final one. 4. So that's your seat installed. You can flip it back over. You've got your seat belt, which you can just pull on this tab to tighten. Putting your kid in there or whichever. Keeps them planted into the seat, just like so. And then now we're going to put together our steering setup. So it all starts with the fork, which is this one just here. You want to flip these little footrests around so they're facing you, and basically we're going to take this part off here, slide it on up and reinstall that part. We're going to make it nice and tight and sturdy. Alrighty guys, so we need to pull this little part here off the top. It's called a stem or headset stem. Basically, to do that, there's 2 Allen keys on either side of this unit here. Loosen them right off. You can remove them completely. 1 and 2. Stick them out of the way. Now, there's also one on the top, and you just pull this little plastic cap off, and don't lose that because we're going to need it. And then there's the same sort of thing, but just a size down on Allen keys, and you just loosen it off. It's quite long. At that point, you can just stick it out of the way. You get up into the air, and as you can imagine, give it a tap. The nice little hammer, guys. And of course, it pops off for you. We're going to stick it out of the way over near our little parts, and you can put your parts, put your screws in the hole so they don't go missing. Okay, so it's now time to set up our bearing kit, and the good thing is for you guys is it's already in order. You just pull the top bearing and anything above it up. You might get stuck, you just got to keep coming up. It's quite tight, the tolerance is quite low. Stick that out of your way, rotate this around so the foot pegs are facing the rider, and of course you have that little bearing kit just sitting there. And at this point you then bring the chassis over, drag it over by hand, rest it on down, and you can see the height of it there. That little doesn't really reach, so someone's going to have to give you a hand, but basically push it up into there, and then we're going to put our bearing kit in and put that little stem piece back on, and you'll be good to go. Alrighty guys, so now at this point you might need a little hand. Probably just stand over that way a little bit more, that's it. And then you can just drop your bearing kit down into the stem. It's actually a seal as well, it keeps the dust out. So you're going to want to kind of get it in there nice so it feels like it's snug in place. Give the stem a wiggle until it's right up in the air, and then you can come over, grab this piece here, and it faces the rider, and you can just use your little hammer again, tap it down, just like so, and then this top bolt goes in here, and this is actually basically a tightening bolt. It helps squeeze it all together. So what you do, grab your rattle gun again or whatever tool you're using, and you can tighten it up like that, but we're not going to lock it into place just yet because we need to line up this stem piece with the steering. To do that, it's best we actually put the steering on first, and then of course line it up nice and straight, and then lock in these bolts so it doesn't move, tightening this one up first and then locking them in. Alrighty guys, take your handlebars out of the packaging, throw it away, get it all out of your way, because it's now time to put your steering on. Now there's this little sleeve for this brake cable. That has to go down onto this caliper, but we'll do that next. Essentially, the steering goes like that. So in order to do that, we have to take this little clamp off with the correct size Allen key. You can just undo the 4 Torx bits, 1, 2, 3, and it'll drop out of the way. 4. Now again, you're going to need some help to do this. It's a 2-person job. Basically, we're going to bring it up into the air. See these lines on each side? They line up perfectly with the edges, and the handlebars face directly up into the air. This should be nice and flat, and then of course that should line up there. You can bring that cap back up, clamping it down, 1 and 2, and once you think you've got it in place, you can tighten it up a little bit just so it will hold itself, and then we're going to do some micro adjustments. So tighten it up a little bit. You can see how I've just got it sitting there nice, And at this point you can actually rotate the steering and make sure that you can't see any of the that grippy part of the metal on either side of the steering. Here and here. Looks pretty good, guys. It's perfectly flat up and down. So at this point it's now time to put the other two Allen keys in this clamp. You put all 4 in the threads first, and then it's time to tighten. So 1, you can go kind of a cross way so that it's an even pressure across the whole bar. Making sure to not use a rattle gun that's too powerful because you'll snap the bolts. Alright, so now that we've got the steering on, we can actually line up here to here and here to here so that our steering's straight. So to do that, you can literally just grab this piece and line it up just like so. And then what you can do is you can look straight down on the machine, put it on the floor, have a look directly down and line it up from here to there. Now guys, it doesn't have to be perfect today. You can always modify it in the future. So don't worry too much about getting it absolutely spot on. So I'm just going to do it off eye. I can grab that, looking straight down. It's looking like there for me. So at that point, you've got this one on the top. It's designed to squeeze this whole unit together so that the bearings don't rattle. Now, you're going to do it this first time. And after a few rides, you might find if you've hit a few curbs or you've gone over a couple bumps, you may have to retighten this in the future. So just bear that in mind. So, see how that's pulling that down? Or pulling this up? Nice. And at this point, you grab your larger Allen key and it's time to do the real crimp down here and here. That's going to be where majority of your strength comes from. Put one in, and put the other one in, and then we're going to tighten. Nice and tight. There you go there. Nice and tight, so I'm just going to do this one over here one more time. Yeah. Alright guys, don't forget your little plastic cap that goes on the top. It's just for aesthetics, so it's not that important. Now it's time to do the brakes and the throttle handle. We're going to do the brakes first. So basically this sleeve needs to be like this. Wind this little chrome piece all the way in because that's actually the adjuster and this is what we've got to crimp down with this little 10mm. So I'll show you what I mean. You can see that it reaches all the way and then there's a little 10mm here. So naturally we're going to grab our little 10mm socket. Now guys, these brakes are not designed for downhill racing. They're designed for flat level only, or to obviously stop the craft itself, but you wouldn't take these down Mount Tambourine because it's just a single rotor. We are going to sell an upgraded brake kit in the future, so if you are interested in doing downhill stuff, you can definitely buy that hydraulic brake upgrade in the future. It's not going to be too expensive, guys. Nothing for these machines will be too expensive. Everything's going to be cheap. Calipers for $25 delivered, seats for $30 delivered. You can buy whole chassis, so just bear in mind all replacement parts for this is going to cost you nothing. Alrighty guys, so this little 10mm, we just pop it open. Here's your brake cable here and you just tuck it directly through the hole in that little pin. Now what you want to do is for now we want to just tighten that back up so it's ready to go for us later on. Now it's time to do our little throttle cable, the throttle handle, rather. It comes up here and stabs on there, but you need to undo this tiny little Allen key first. Now it is quite a small little Allen key, guys, so I hope that you have a little Allen key set there. Okay, so you just loosen it off a bit. It's a grub screw, so all it's designed to do is just hold this little piece wherever you place it. So you bring it right up and then back it off just a little bit, maybe like that. And then of course tighten the grub screw Remembering you want this little LCD to be facing the rider so you can monitor the battery charge. Not too tight, guys. These are pretty tough themselves. Probably 1 finger tight, like so. Okay guys, so you've now got your little key. You can stab into your key hole. Test to make sure that's going well. Now, to adjust the brakes, we need to put the wheel on. So let's put the wheel on. Alrighty guys, so these little nuts and bolts, these two here, for you, they're going to be in your battery case. Now that's because we go through all these before we send them, doing quality assurance, making sure everything's there. So guys, to do this, you literally just lift the bike up, roll your wheel forward, and you can just line up your caliper as you drop, and hopefully you can get both sides in just like that, nice and easy. Now, these little pin clip things are designed to keep the wheel on no matter what. So make sure they go on first. Either side, you got 1 and 2, and you have these little 15 or 14 mils that you screw on by hand, each side. Nice and tight, guys, so that it absolutely cannot fall off. So that would be a bit of a shock to the body. Alrighty guys, so you've got your tyre on now, which means we can do up our caliper properly. This is a 2-person job, and the reason for that is because you want to have someone pushing up on this rod here while we get that brakes nice and tight. So you loosen that 10 mil off, and you can see there's an adjuster up here. We've got that adjusted all the way in. Yep, and then you push up on this pin. Actually, no, I should be able to do it with 1 person. And then of course, tighten that 10 mil, pretty tight. Allow the slack to come back down. And as you can see, we've already got it tight. So that means any stretching of this cable, which is gonna happen, you can adjust it from here moving forward. Alrighty guys, so that is it. Now, one thing that I want to show you before we continue with this video and give you a product demonstration is, by law, we need to have this little pin here. And basically what that does is it stops the tires from going too full lock, and of course rubbing into little kids' legs, etc, etc, etc. But just like any drift car or drift trike you may have ever ridden, the funnest part about a tricycle like this is allowing for the steering to have a full lock, such as my one over here. Actually, this one over here. This is something that you might want to do, full lock. So, anyone at home looking at their drift trike that they've just received in the mail, guys, if you don't want to get in there and use that, you can just jump on the machine and grab the bars and just give it a bit of a twist with a bit of strength, and that rod will move out a bit. And it's just a little industry trick of the trade. Alrighty guys, let's keep on progressing through the video. Alrighty guys, so we've pretty much completed this trike at this point. It's now time to put our sleeves on. So you can just grab your trike, bring it down onto the ground, and of course you've got your main power cable, and this just basically brings the power from the battery to the computers. You can just plug it in here, nice and solid plug, through this little literally just around here like this to this plug, nice and solid, and then you come up to your switch and you're good to go, guys. That is a responsive trike. Right guys, it's now time to put the drift trike sleeves on. If you do it the correct way and follow these instructions, it's going to be pretty easy. You've got to let the tire right down, literally just pressing down on the tire and pressing in on the valve. And once it's completely deflated, like so, you can go and grab a can of inox or any kind of lubricant, etc, etc. It's just to help the sleeve slip straight on. So you can just literally just lube it up like this. like so. Now grab your sleeve, it's just this one here, and they see how they have those little grips, so don't be afraid of the sleeve coming off because of the WD-40. A lot of people have commented that. And then you can just grab the thing and you just push around the edges. As long as you're pushing around the edges, you won't get it first go, but you might get it second. Alrighty guys, so we've just squished the 2 sleeves on. Now time to pump up all 3 tyres. You bring it over to any compressor and they go to about 50 pounds. Now these are extremely small tyres. It's not like pumping up a car tyre. They take very, very little air, guys. So you just come over with your air hose, pop it on, and literally make sure it's on properly. $40, £50, that's it. See how little it took? Otherwise, you're gonna pop the tube. You'll be ordering a new one, guys, and if you do pop your tube, I won't be sending you one for free, so make sure you get that step correct. Guys, put the little dust cap on. 1, and of course, repeat the exact same process on the other side. Same thing here, guys. We're going to bring our little tube around. Now this one only needs 20 pounds. So popping this on like this, sealing it up. 20 pounds, pop it off, dust cap on, and you're good to go, guys. Now, one last thing. Obviously, you've got your seatbelt. Now I don't usually wear a seatbelt in this little area because we're really not going quick enough. But if you're going any faster, you can wear your belt. Popping it in. Okay, now, don't forget, you've got that little rod, guys, so you can just grab your steering. Now, you've got a much better lock. Of course, if you want even more lock, and you've got your feet up, you do run the risk of having it hit your legs. So it's up to you if you want to do that. But it is a much better ride. And guys, you're good to go. Guys, when you go outside, you're going to have much more area to play with. So as you can imagine, you can get going a bit quicker. But of course, make sure when you are out in the street, you have someone out there observing for any cars, etc, etc. And realistically, guys, be careful. These machines, they have a lot of power. Don't underestimate the top speed either. Alrighty guys, I'm Lucas from Drift Trikes Australia. Thanks for watching the assembly instruction video, and get out there and have some fun, guys. Catch you later.